Hi, I'm Tim Stokes, a business growth specialist, and I'm talking with Chris Schutte from Interact Global, a psychometric assessment company with offices in Brisbane, Sydney, South Africa, and the UK. How are you today, Chris?
I'm very well, thank you. Good morning, Tim. How are you doing?
I'm excellent. And Chris, I know one of the biggest challenges in business is managing and hiring employees especially. So can you tell us a little bit about your psychometric assessment tools, and in particular, which one you think helps a lot with that process?
Oh, thank you, Tim. Yes. Well, Interact Global supplies and publish three baseline psychometric assessments, which the one is emotional intelligence, in particular TEQ. Then there is personal profiling, which looks at the personal values of a person. And then there is InterDISC, which is look at the behavior of people. So if you go and look at it, EQ measures why people do things emotionally. If you look at personal values profiling, it's looking at why people go to work and what triggers them to actually drive their values. And then you look at InterDISC, which is the behavior side of things, which look at dominance, influence, steadiness, and compliance. But you're the growth specialist in business, and you've been using DISC for quite a while. How do you find it in terms of applications, and how is it applied in business?
Yeah, I've been using it. I was fascinated when I was introduced to it about 25 years ago, and I thought this thing has a lot of merit in business. And I was fascinated by what it could tell me about myself. And I got extremely ingrained in DISC profiles. That was all I thought about for about the next 9 months. And I did a part-time psychology course, and I just studied it. I profiled every person I could meet and look at their result, and then look at them and say, okay, that's what their result represents. And then I started using it with my business clients. And for 25 years, I have profiled every single client I've ever worked with. And it's fascinating what it tells me about them. It helps me to understand how to lead them their ideal way. And by profiling all of their employees, the business owner understood how to lead their employees their ideal way. And we started to see patterns where there were certain aptitudes, which is what I find DISC profiles really good at, one of the many things, to understand what's the best fit for a certain role based on a person's DISC profile. And then we used to hire people with that in mind, and we found that they took to their role like a duck to water because they had natural skills that suited that role. And so they really enjoyed their work because their natural personality traits were being utilized in that position. And I found often the opposite was true sometimes, where their DISC profile wasn't a good fit for their role, and they were getting stressed, and they were taking lots of sick leave and suffering from a mild anxiety, things like that, because they just weren't happy. They were a round peg in a square hole, and it didn't really work. So I use DISC profiles in many applications with clients. We help to DISC profile every person they're thinking of hiring in the very last stage of the process, where you're down to a couple of candidates, and I think it's worthwhile. I use it with leadership. I use it with sales training. Picking people's profiles within seconds, even on the phone, complete strangers, is a very handy skill to help build rapport. Rapport is an element of trust that leads to getting more sales. Use it with looking at ideal potential leaders in the business that step up into supervisory roles, which profiles fit that role really, really well. So it just streamlines the whole business. It creates a very harmonious workplace environment. And I believe when you create a harmonious workplace environment, your productivity increases. And when productivity increases, profitability increases. And that's the magic game. So yeah, Chris, I find it very applicable in many aspects of a business. And to keep this video short, we might stop it there. But next week, I want to talk to you a little bit about EQ, because I find that's an incredibly fascinating tool to be using in profiling employees and also business owners to learn more about themselves. So let's talk about that next time. And thanks for joining me today, Chris, and all the best.
Thank you, Tim. Looking forward to chat about EQ.